Montana still has 2 years remaining on his contract, and at 33, seems destined to play until the next century. Young has only a year remaining on his contract and is desperate to play before the next century.
All right, if we go to the meat department, we have fresh grade A Holly Farms chicken wings, half price sale, 49 cents a pound.
And finally from Dear Abby, in response to assertive and glad of it, if my husband and I decided to drop in on friends and they gave us
It's the most wonderful thing that's ever happened. It really is. It's the best thing since Braille that they've given for blind people.
Welcome to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, a very special radio station operating out of the Apple Tree Mall in Cheektowaga. For the past 3 years, the broadcast facility has been manned by very special volunteers whose listeners are equally special. They are the visually handicapped, those persons unable to read printed matter. Its founder and executive director is attorney Bob Sikorsky, who once worked in Buffalo radio and television.
The great thing about radio reading is it gives print handicapped people a chance to read, simply stated. And when we talk about print handicapped people, we're talking about not only totally blind people, but people who have vision and have sight to some degree, but just can't read normal printed matter. And we are dealing with people who are victims of diabetes, glaucoma, dyslexia, macular degeneration, maybe aging, but for whatever reason, they can't read the printed matter that they've come to enjoy throughout their lives. And we're bringing that printed matter to them.
One of the readers this day was Al Osborne, a local public relations veteran, also noted for his occasional satirical articles in the Buffalo News. Why has he been a volunteer reader for the past 2 years?
Because of a family situation, I had an interest in helping the sight impaired wherever I could, and saw an article in, I guess, the news, Buffalo News, that they were looking for volunteers, and I'd done some radio, I've done some broadcasts about 1,000 years ago.
Retired insurance executive Jack McLean has been a volunteer reader for the past 3 years. He's a natural for the job. His late father, Jack McLean, read the first newscast over Buffalo radio back in the 30s. And his brother Don, an Olean sports announcer for more than 3 decades, was the voice of the Bonnies.
Yeah, I came out here because of that radio background of my dad and also my brother. But it's been an awfully great education for me because the people that we serve, the audience that we serve are just tremendous teachers. And they make you think very, very carefully.
Hello, I'm Tom Joles of WKBW-TV Channel 7. For the next few minutes, I'll be reading from the current issue in Health magazine on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service.
When we talk about radio reading, we're talking about a special radio station that you can't hear normally on a normal radio. You need a special radio reading receiver like one of these that we have here in order to hear the signal. Each one of these receivers, these specially tuned receivers, cost us about $89 a piece. We don't charge people for the receivers. We loan them out for people to use as they wish. The only fee as such is a voluntary, and we stress it's voluntary, annual $25 a year subscriber fee. If people can afford to chip in, great. If they can't afford to, we've never turned down anybody yet. Now, in order to get the service, all they have to do is simply call us up at 683-9000, and if they are print handicapped and unable to read such material, a receiver will be provided to them.
Mrs. Lola Reppenhagen, who has been blind for nearly 40 years, remembers the joy of reading. She and her retired school teacher husband Bob are active in several organizations for the visually impaired. And how has the radio reading service helped her?
Well, one thing is the news itself, the actual news, because you get little bits and pieces on television and radio, but you don't get the detail. And now that you can read hear all the articles read to us, it gives you, well, makes you a better conversationalist with people on the outside and social events and things like that. Besides, it's just knowing all the things that go on.
We're on the air every day from 6 in the morning to 1 in the morning, 7 days a week. And the only reason we're on that many hours, with 19 hours of programming a day, including holidays, is because of the dedicated efforts of about 200 volunteers that we have on staff here. We broadcast readings of the newspapers, magazines, best-selling books, community information, TV listings, the comics, supermarket ads, all sorts of different printed matter to people who are unable to read by themselves.
Volunteers, where do you get your volunteers? Are you in need of more volunteers?
We are definitely in need of qualified volunteers, and a person is qualified if he or she is a good communicator. They come in about once a week, read for about an hour and a half at a time to record a 1-hour reading, or maybe a live newspaper reading, but they have a great time doing it.
Hello, this is Betty Binder, your favorite supermarket lady. And for the next hour, I'll be reading the week's supermarket ads on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service.
A 40-year-old man arrives at New York City's Bellevue Hospital emergency room, frightened and confused.
People depend upon it in some of the hospitals locally, and they'll have a good time doing it.
It's not difficult.
No, of course not. You know, this is not perfection. You stumble over the words, and you break up occasionally, but it's fun.
Tell me about it.
But I've learned so much from them, Fran. The things that they do, they are not handicapped people. They work daily. Many of them go to work every day. And it just made me feel an awful lot better to be able to do it for them.
As far as the blind person, if they don't have a radio reading, they certainly should get one immediately, because it takes you right out of nowhere into the whole wide world and lets you know what's going on.
We've got many more thousands of people to help, and we're not helping them yet, but we're striving mightily to get the message out that radio reading is available, that radio reading can help people who really enjoy reading but unfortunately can't do it on their own.